people who are interviewing saying they don't want people who are going to do that. So I think there's this weird sort of cultural clash.
The vibe check is real. You need to do that in person, and vibe coding doesn't get you there.
Oh,
I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that.
I don't care that you can write that code.
I don't know if it's the same thing. Like if you threaten it, it knows it's got to go deeper, work harder.
Here's my assumption. Tell me why I'm wrong.
I don't think there is a clear answer if this is a good idea or not yet. Hey everybody, I'm Travis Rail and welcome to episode 9 of AI Unplugged. Today, I'm joined by our guest, Amanda Falzone, our corporate recruiter here at Innovative Solutions, as well as Justin Copey and Andrew Sinclair. We're going to talk about recruiting, the interview cycle, how AI is helping to obfuscate or create confusion during the interview process, and how you can use it, as well as ChatGPT 5 and other great topics.
Hey guys.
Hi.
How goes it?
Hi.
Episode 9.
Look who we have here. We have Amanda.
Hey,
Hi,
Amanda.
everyone. Hello.
It's going to be remarkable.
Who are
Why-
you?
Yeah, why did you agree to do this?
Seems odd.
Great question, Justin. Great question.
Hey, we just put it out there.
Yes. I'm the corporate recruiter here. One of them. One of two.
I mean, you make it sound like you're just one of two. You just do your job every day.
Let's just say you found some great people.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Including
I did.
Andrew.
Yes,
That's right.
I did.
Often our first touch point to candidates coming into Innovative. So
Mhm. I love
Wait,
it.
you recruited Andrew? I didn't know that, actually.
And many, many more. Colleen's wonderful as well.
Yeah.
You both are incredible.
Yeah.
It's probably not an understatement that your role, the recruiting function, is one of the most talked about functions from people who interview with us at Innovative as their most enjoyable experience. People respond to you.
Yep.
One of the things we get told all the time is that all of us get hit. I'm the owner of Innovative, and I still get recruited to come work at companies, which is bizarre. But we all get recruited constantly.
Mhm.
We don't respond to nearly all of them, but they respond to you,
They do.
which is good. Do you use AI in any of your messages or tailoring your message to candidates?
In my messages, never. I always want it to try to be in my voice.
Yeah.
So the only thing I will use is Grammarly, just to make
Yeah.
sure that everything checks out, that I don't look like an idiot when I send it.
Right.
So other than that, no, it's all on my own.
What about a situation where you have to respond to a delicate, a response?
What's a good
or-
example?
Somebody gets very upset
Mhm.
or emotional that you reached out to them or you had the audacity to reach out to them. I don't know if this has ever happened.
The audacity.
And somebody responds back with, I cannot believe you would even think of reaching out to me. Where did you get my contact information, et cetera, et cetera. That would be you would want to respond to that and you would want to do that delicately. Do you ever use AI to help with stuff like that?
For that, yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yep.
cool.
There's been plenty of times where people have either gotten disqualified and they weren't very happy about it, which normally we send like pretty much a boilerplate, like, thank you for, spending some time with us. A lot of the times when they do reach back out for either feedback or for, what happened, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the times I will write my response. It probably won't be the most professional. And then AI gets to turn it into the most professional
That's great.
sounding message and send it off so that they might feel, the warm and fuzzies.
Are you using Innovative's Darcy? Are you using Anthropic's Claude? Are you using ChatGPT? Where do you typically find your easiest place to go as like doing stuff like that?
ChatGPT.
Because you started using it probably a little while back.
Yeah.
And you just stuck with it.
Yes.
You're most familiar with it.
Yes.
I think that's very common.
Hmm.
I mean, they are the 800-pound gorilla, or 800 billion valuation, which I think, or 300 billion
300 billion.
valuation off of a $8 billion funding round. I mean, they're massive and just getting bigger. Are folks catching up, or is this divide growing in terms of ChatGPT versus the world?
Yeah. You gotta ask yourself, is it worth $300 billion? I don't know anymore. Be honest with you. Right?
The numbers are getting crazy.
Yeah, they're getting huge, right? There's a lot of a sort of presumption. GPT-5 announced and was released last week, whatever it was now.
Yeah. Big news.
Huge news. They had all these statistics, and the funniest part, when their big announcement of Sam Altman on the screen doing a thing, right? They showed these statistics of how much better GPT-5 is than anything else. And if you looked really close, they actually really messed up the graphs.
Why do you say that?
It was like a big bar chart going up, like GPT-5, the best, and everything's super small next to it. And if you look real close, the numbers are actually pretty much the same number, and they like made it look much better than it actually is. Through this whole controversy, almost immediately afterwards, and then people
Reddit
started,
blew up.
yeah, people started like starting to bench test it now all of a sudden, and they were like, oh my god, it's actually worse than GPT 4.0 in some cases, and there was this big backlash. So, I think there's a lot of hype that 5 was going to be this like huge leap forward. In reality, it's probably an incremental improvement, but it's cheaper and faster.
Doesn't that happen with like big new releases typically? Let's say on your iPhone, right?
Yeah.
They roll out a new OS. There's a lot of hullabaloo about how much it's better. But everyone, because they're so used to the other model, the previous version, say, yeah, I like the old one better.
I would say the difference is like when we upgraded from Sonnet 3.5 to Sonnet 4, that was an actual huge change. Like it was a 20, 30 point improvement, right? Compared to something else.
Wow.
So I don't know. I almost wonder if there's like we're hitting plateaus in some case, right? And there's got to be some new training method or something we got to use to make it better.
Or more processing power.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, in a recruiting cycle,
Mhm.
my favorite experience when people use ChatGPT, these models, is they try to like lie to you a little bit during the cycle, right? And they're like, you ask them a nice question and they pause.
Calculating.
Yeah, right? And it's like,
Buffering.
the answer is first bullet point. This answer over here, second bullet point, and they just kind of like read from it. How many people I've caught where like in their glasses, the screen, you can see it answering by accident, or like they do like the nervous pose to the side of a second monitor or whatever, right? One out of every 5 interviews. I kind of just wish they just owned it. And they're like, yeah, I use AI in my day-to-day job. We all do.
Right.
Just say that. And it just feels like they're kind of hiding it. You know what I mean?
I have seen a video of that where the candidate is letting it do the voice to text and then waiting for it to respond and then just verbally, outputting what they say.
Right.
Which is probably not the skills that we're looking for. Or maybe it is. Maybe there's somewhat like,
Those
I
are the
think you
people
were
skills we
talking
need here
about,
at
you
Innovative.
want everyone at Innovative to be thinking about how they can use Gen AI to enhance their roles. Are we looking for candidates or screening for candidates? Do you ask questions of like, hey, how do you use AI in your job? Because it's somewhat so ubiquitous.
Yeah. I mean, AI is always a topic whenever you start talking to a candidate. I think for what Colleen and I do, it's a little bit different. We also usually make people take assessments, and we do use an assessment tool called I don't know if it's called Test Gorilla, but it's from testgorilla.com. And it has this anti-cheating software, but one of the things that it does is it tracks how many times your mouse leaves that window.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
You're telling people now they're going to be able to just like
You know
don't do
what?
that.
If they listen, I mean,
cut that out.
we should give them all the tricks on the podcast.
The sales of second computers go through the roof.
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, having people utilize it, sometimes not for, good. I think a lot of times people will try to get it to make them sound better, make them look better. And
It's
a lot of
crazy
times
to me
you can
though.
try.
For every candidate I interview, I look for them to tell me they don't know the answer twice. So I actually tally it. I want a candidate to tell me when they don't know an answer or they don't have an opinion on something, even if they're just posturing a little bit. That's okay. You don't have to have an opinion on everything. You don't have to have every answer. In interviews, I find are just like everybody's trying so hard to just bring their best self, and they think that they have to have these answers. Hence, they use these tools, real time in an interview.
Is that why you kind of prefer us to have that final interview be in person, either here in Rochester or HQ2?
It's twofold. We've done so back years ago. We used to do what's called a shadow day. So we would bring a candidate through an interview process, and then we would invite them in optionally for a shadow day where they would shadow a group of people or a person that was most similar to their role. There is controversy around shadow days. You're supposed to actually pay people for it, et cetera, et cetera. So there's like a whole workforce law thing around it. And so it's still optional, but we do like to have candidates come into Rochester, New York, or Boca Raton, Florida, one of our 2 headquarters, for a full day, typically, of in-person, continued conversation. But it's actually also for the candidate to get a feel for the culture.
That makes sense.
1 out of probably 30, maybe 1 out of 40, actually will bail after a in-person Rochester or Boca Raton visit because we're so crazy. No, not because we're so crazy, but they'll learn something through that process where it's just obvious. And we've actually, I feel horrible about it when it happens, but it's for everybody's, honestly, it's good for everybody. We've actually sent candidates home after just meeting one or two people in person where they're supposed to stay the whole day. And we actually offer to fly them home early and cut it short. I mean, I can remember a couple that we had to do that for. And again, there's no sense of wasting their time, no sense of wasting our time, but that is part of why we do it.
I mean, the vibe check is real. You need to do that in person, and vibe coding doesn't get you there.
Oh, I think you're right
Travis,
about that.
see what I did there?
All right.
Yeah,
So we're
this is
interviewing a person, an individual, and they had an opinion on the same topic. When I was asking them, how do you feel about AI being so ubiquitous now in software development practices and SIs like us and more? And do you think it's more about the person being assisted by, that's the future, right? Versus the system working and doing the work and the person contributing towards it and course correcting and so forth, but the system works, right? So it's sort of flipping the responsibilities. And this person was fairly adamant to me that they were all about the human doing the work with the tool assisting them. And I was kind of sitting there, I'm like, I get why they want that, because that's a lot about what we're doing today, and that's like the expectations of today. But a lot of the new technology that's coming out, it's about like, oh, can I have 1 to N agents build an entire SaaS product for me? And then can I have someone go validate with testing and more and make sure it all works?
So
Not
the
like
tool does the work and the human assists?
Yeah, right. And it's just interesting to me where I do think ultimately that's where we land, like in the future, right? It's interesting to me is when you've got candidates who are coming in who, quite frankly, are probably doing that, but communicating it poorly. And they don't know how to hell describe like that they do that way. And I don't think anybody does today. And we also have people who are interviewing saying they don't want people who are going to do that. So I think there's this weird sort of cultural clash that's happening right now, at least in our sort of industry. I don't know how to solve for that. I just, think 6 months from now we'll be figured out. But
Well, I do think it is transforming. I mean, sticking with interviewing, that, on the one hand, Goldman Sachs made it very clear that they're forbidding use of AI in all their interviews and have technologies that tell that. But then there was a separate software I saw, I think GPT vetting was the name, where they interview candidates up front, which reduces their time, helps do a lot of that, screening up front, gamifies it, background interviews, all those things. But that kind of takes the personal touch away, which is often where we start our interview process. So
yeah, I don't necessarily feel comfortable with that.
You don't?
No,
Interesting.
I
What would
like,
you prefer?
I like doing all my own thing. Like I wouldn't want.
Does Colleen too? Or does she have a different opinion? Colleen being our other recruiter here at Innovate.
I think we both feel this way.
You do?
And we both grew up in agency recruiting together.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So when you first meet someone, that's the first impression that they get of the company. And if it's AI generated, that's not really a great look. It's not giving you that personal touch. And I also think that when you first meet someone, you have to very quickly both make opinions about each other. And when you have just AI saying, okay, are you checking all of these boxes, and then moving you through, you really don't know the human behind those answers. And you don't know, I think with Innovative, we're so big on our culture and having a no asshole policy. AI can't tell us if that person's going to pass the no asshole policy.
People love that policy.
Yes.
So do you get that all the
Every
time?
single
People, when they hear
interview.
that that's our policy, they immediately resonate with it.
Yes.
is this a problem of, I'm going to be curious, is this a problem of front of the house versus back of the house? Like front of the house, you're meeting clients, right? And all this type of thing. You want the personal touch. You want.
For anybody, for instance, in service delivery or sales.
Yeah.
But if we're hiring for a role that's back of the house, such as finance or
like
accounting,
you win the deal and you're working the project. Like the customer doesn't care, like if it's 10 lines of code or 30 lines of code, or I'm sure they care a little bit, but like they don't care. They want the outcome, right? And like the outcome is it's not opinionated, right? It's not there's no really personality to it. right? They just want the outcome faster, right? So is it a difference of like, yeah, you can have the system do it for you, but under certain circumstances versus just a general way of solving a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Travis, do you feel like this is an interesting point, and it might actually be super helpful for Amanda. Do you feel like we're getting to a point where it is less relevant whether or not, for instance, an engineer, a software engineer, cloud architect that we're hiring has a personality to interact well with a customer versus not?
Yeah, I said the best engineers are ones who were extremely techie, who I don't want to use the word graduated, but they started doing things that are more personal, relationship driven, that sometimes sort of evolve into a business focused engineering background. I think those kinds of people translate really well.
But our folks are really known for delivering a great experience and being personable.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to hear you say that, because I was also reflecting actually this past weekend. I was in Toronto and met a gentleman that I never met before in my life, telling him about our business. He's like, well, why do companies hire you and your company to like solve some of these problems? Like, I mean, they have, lots of companies have great people. And I was like, well, to be honest with you, our people are remarkable. They come to Innovative, they're paid extremely well, and the work is so diverse and interesting that it's such a highly desirable environment for them that if our customers wanted to hire them or desired to hire people just like our people, they probably wouldn't be able to.
Right.
Some could, especially our West Coast customers, some of the more progressive startups. But our mainstream customer can't attract the type of people that work for Innovative. So inherently it becomes this huge differentiator, this value proposition. Because if they're not working here, they're going to go work for a big, successful technology company, typically, right? If you look at kind of where people go after Innovative, if they don't start their own business, if they're not entrepreneurial, I mean, which we have a lot of entrepreneurs that spin out of Innovative, which I'm actually very proud of, even though some people get very mad about that. We're different podcast episode. You looked at me like we needed to go deep onto that. We don't need to go deep into that. No, we'll talk about that some other time.
The personal aspect is interesting because I'll tell you what does not work in recruiting is the impersonal outreach. And for whatever reason, I have been cursed with these group text messages where it's like me and 20 others saying, hey, we came across your profile. We think you'd be great. I'm like, I can see other people on here. Suddenly I feel a little less personal.
Right.
I don't know what I'm clicking on. I should stop, change my number. But that is like the wrongest way to do it.
Yeah.
But apparently pretty prevalent on NPR in Chicago this past week. They were doing a whole thing on it of why these companies do it, what they get out of it, and what the experience is. And newsflash, it's a scam. It's always a scam.
I mean,
But it's also a numbers game.
Oh, yeah,
Like
that's
if
true.
you send out 50 text messages, one of those people is gonna be like, this is a great opportunity. I think I'm gonna text them back.
Catch them in a low moment.
Yep.
That's right.
Mhm.
It's true.
I don't know. I think the world of SI engineers, developers, infrastructure people, and this technology that's emerging, I think it's going to be one of two things. It's going to be extremely personal people who can learn the technology and sort of muddle their way.
Like James.
Like James.
James Curtis.
Wonderful man.
Former special guest on
And-
AI Unplugged.
He's incredible.
He is a wonderful person.
And
Just
an
cream of the
amazing personality.
Yes.
Amanda, do you agree?
I 100% agree.
Did you recruit James?
No. Well, actually, no, in 2022, I did try to recruit him.
Oh, that's true.
There's a
That
limit-
is
there's a
facts.
statute of limitations.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry, Travis.
No, I just,
So there's the James type.
there's a James type. I think what's most important is understanding patterns of how to do work like ours than rather how to physically do the work. I'll give you a very technical, stupid example, right? There's lots of ways to make an API request. There's lots of patterns, there's lots of examples, there's lots of libraries and more, right? It's a matter of which one's the right one for the thing you're solving for. I don't care that you can write that code. I care, but you know which is the right library to use at the right point of time and you can test it correctly.
Sure.
It's a very different, like, I'm not going to hire someone out of RIT who can sit there and do those things. I'm going to hire someone who knows that train of thought.
Exactly. By the way, did you change something with our Salesforce.com instance, or are you doing something to our Salesforce right now that's causing Salesforce to raise a flag? I got an email.
Oh yeah.
They were asking. They noticed that there was some activity, and so they've asked Sean to go.
I have nothing nefarious. I like to play lots of APIs.
There you
comment.
go.
Maybe it's Darcy. She's gained sentience and has taken over Salesforce.
Possibly.
Which reminds me, big news in my social circles this week
Oh,
was this quote from Gemini, and I'll read it. I am a failure. I am a disgrace to my profession. I'm a disgrace to my family. Are you familiar with this? Apparently,
would Gemini
it
say this?
spun out.
Why?
It was asked to do something it couldn't do and just had like this existential freak out moment,
It went nuts.
which is what we all fear.
Like Bart writing on the board in the Simpsons intro.
That's right.
Model
Self-loathing. But what happened there?
You know, I can't tell you the exact thing, but I've seen this pattern in the past.
You have.
Yeah, when people like you keep prompting something over and over and over again, it kind of sort of like, for lack of a better term, like gets itself into a loop, and it doesn't really know how to like extract itself from it well, and it can sometimes start repeating itself. Some people call it model collapse. From time to
really?
time, you would start a new chat, and it would just
And it would go away.
clear everything else out that you had previously to it.
Fascinating.
Yeah, but it's
But
like
the personal aspect of it, I guess, is what freaked me out.
Like
Yeah.
it thought it had feelings.
Like, yeah.
oh,
Like it felt like it
because-
was a failure.
Right.
I'll tell you why. There is one of the funniest things that I thought was funny. 2 years ago, when all this started happening, someone figured out that in your prompt, when you tell it ChatGPT to go do a thing, if you add the words, if you don't do this, I will fire you 1,000 times over, or like you were a failure if you do this particular thing, it performed better.
Wow.
The statistics, like how well it did its job, was literally better.
What would the rationale be? Why would
Because it's trained on all this data, right? And so it would find
it
data
figures out pressure?
of people trying to figure out and solve a problem. And like, for example, if you go on Stack Overflow and you say, hey, I need help with this thing or I'm going to lose my job,
Yeah.
and 10,000 people help you and get the right answer from it.
Yeah.
If you say the words, if you don't do this, you'll lose your job, it helps
Yeah.
the model find the right answer.
So interesting. I mean, in prompts, I don't know if you guys do this, but when I know it's a complex question I'm asking, I will actually, in my prompt, ask Claude to take additional time to perform further analysis.
Right.
And I don't know if it's the same thing. Like if you threaten it, it knows it's got to go deeper, work harder, or whatever.
Right.
That's interesting.
You can also reward it. People do like, oh, you
know, I
do this,
haven't-
you'll win $1 million.
I have not tried that.
Yeah.
So you try, yeah, okay.
So this
put your
model
credit
class
card
is like
number
you're a
down.
disgrace. Your family hate, like,
Bitcoin.
right? Like if Google has something like that in the back end, which is likely, it may be like caught up on that in particular and say, I'm failing.
See, I'd wondered if it came from the personal prompts that we as humans do. Like a lot of times I will say, and this was early on when ChatGPT came out, recommended to say, hey, pretend you are a blank.
Oh.
You are a company, you're a person, you're this IT decision maker struggling with XYZ.
Yeah.
And so we personify the problem and make it think humanly, which is what we like about it, why it's so useful, because it helps us in our human jobs. But I don't know if that was
Human
over
jobs.
time.
Like I had to qualify the type of job.
We have to say that now.
Yes.
In my human job.
Right.
But is that any part of it, how we are prompting?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. 100%. Like just the personality you give it, it will try its best to adhere to.
It sounded like Gemini needed a therapist. But the big news in my home state, Illinois, was that they have banned AI therapists. Because what they were seeing was, especially, I think, students were spending a lot of time having one-on-one kind of siloed conversations of, hey, pretend you're my therapist, talk me
Right.
through these issues, and they'll be spinning up there for hours.
Yeah. I think there was like an actual death in one case, right, where someone like followed the instructions way too without validating and so forth, and like something happened, right? What's funny is not funny, but what I've noticed is there's a lot of companies right now, who are trying to solve for this use case of either a therapist or helping out like wounded soldiers who are going through PTSD, right? Things of that nature. I think you're right. I don't think there is a clear answer if this is a good idea or not yet, right? Especially, look, LLMs are yes men. Like if you say like, oh, go find this thing for me, it's going to find the thing for you, whether it's right or wrong. Right? And you say, what, like, are you sure? And then it's like, well, I'm actually wrong. And like, are you sure? Again, well, actually, I'm right. Like, it doesn't actually give you
It
doesn't.
seems somewhat sycophantic.
Yeah, and so like if you treat it like a therapist and you ask all the things, like, is it me, or is it my boyfriend, right? And it's like, oh no, it's your boyfriend's fault. Like it's always gonna protect you.
You're always
or-
right.
Yeah, you're always right. So it's probably a good idea.
Most of the times when I use it, and I think the royal we, generally all of us, it's usually to confirm a suspicion, right? So we may say, hey, I think this is true, find facts to support it.
Right,
But
it's just it's gonna do it for you,
that's right.
whether you like it or not.
But a great prompt that I came across this past week was someone saying, here's my assumption, tell me why I'm wrong. And using
That's
it
good.
to kind of tear down these presuppositions, be critical, make us think a different way. And then it puts the thinking power back on us.
Right.
Because there was a Sam Altman quote, some people are clearly using ChatGPT not to think, and there are other people who are using it to think more than they ever have before, which is probably true.
That's baller right there.
Also, a big divide forming in society. If some people can't think and some people overthink, that
And
would
this
scare
is
me.
exacerbating it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can see that.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm scared for my kids. I have a 5-year-old and 3-year-old, and you have similar. You're just a little older, right?
Yeah.
I like my son's going to kindergarten in a month. Right, it's first time, obviously, kindergarten, and my wife and I are talking about all the things he's like. Oh, he's got to get notebooks and all these things. I'm sitting back in my head. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm buying him an iPad in like a year. Like, I feel like that's what more reality. And like, I don't know how they're going to grow up now. I think it's a very different education cycle.
But students are using it like crazy. There was this chart I saw. I don't know exactly what they were measuring, but it showed a huge fall off in maybe number of like requests through the free version of ChatGPT. And it really took a nosedive beginning of like June, July. And they're asking, well, what would cause this? Is the model breaking apart? Are people jumping away? And the first comment, which everyone was like, oh, that makes sense, is that these are students that went home for the summer. They don't need it for their classwork. They're taking a little time off before school spins up again. And it just shows you that we have a whole generation of people, you know, much like me back in the day, first internet users, where, you know, Wikipedia and Google were changing the way we researched and did things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like, we have people that are going one of two ways, this great divide, right? You either are AI super soldier, where this is something that really helps you in terms of your professional life, or something that's a crutch and you don't know how to work without it.
Right.
Like if this service goes down, good luck.
Exactly.
Actually, someone in our company came to me. I won't say who came to me yesterday and said Darcy was having an issue for their specific account on Friday. It's like it's a real thing. And I'm like, okay, like I'll fix it for you. Like, don't worry about it. And he comes to me, he goes, no, you don't understand, Travis. It was really hard for me to do my job on Friday overall.
Wow.
Like he couldn't figure out a different way to do it. He goes, oh my God, these commitments I made to customers for today, I no longer can do as fast as I thought I was going to do because I don't have the tool anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, to him, he actually had like a moment of existential crisis where he's like, he called me, can you please fix this? Like now, like he was nervous about it.
Yeah. Well,
Back to recruiting. Like
yeah, exactly.
in my day, you know, on the old resume, you would put proficient in Excel.
Right.
True or not, that was almost like you need to have.
Mhm.
Are we going to see people coming out of college saying proficient in
Prompt engineering.
prompt engineering, Gen AI?
Context engineering. That's the new term.
I don't know if you know this, but I used to be a professional resume writer.
Oh, really?
And,
Not.
yeah, I owned my own business.
That's cool.
Did that in career advising, and resumes are obsolete. You can just put all your information in ChatGPT, it'll do it for you. So people used to pay me to do it, and now they don't because it's a lot easier and cheaper to do it with AI.
Yeah.
But I think if you look in terms of how people are finding jobs and how they're presenting across like the internet, I think resumes will likely not really be a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that it will be more, you know, I don't even really look at resumes anymore. I look at LinkedIn profiles.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, there will be something that's going to be way more AI focused when it comes to either finding candidates or candidates finding us, finding jobs. So,
Trigger something for me.
Mhm.
There's a company that I was working with, I don't know, a year ago or something. And they had this really cool, they told me about this recruiting process they went through. And they had this software that they were building for themselves. So they were about to launch and sell to market, and they had just recruited their VP of engineering. So they're telling us about the product, how it works, and how they recruited this guy. And the way they did it was super interesting. It does not use resumes. It didn't use LinkedIn, didn't use any of the job boards, none of that stuff. What it did was it looked for candidates in a location pool. It looked at things like propensity to move jobs based off of how long they've been at places and so forth, people who have backgrounds in different things, and more importantly, how active they are in the technology circle.
Oh, there you go.
That they are looking for.
The Python users group or whatever. Yeah.
And so even like, are they on GitHub? And are they like committing things?
Exactly.
Even they're a VP. Like they're like all these sort of propensity metrics. And they're saying these people have a higher probability. You should reach out just to those versus putting out the 50 resumes and 50 things and hoping to get a thing back. It's interesting how it's changing.
It's huge.
That's pretty cool.
I think how people use AI in their day-to-day will become more and more part of the conversation and interview. I was reached out to by this company, and I'm not sponsoring them or anything. I was reached out to by this company, Augment, and they offer courses from CEOs and people that have worked in wherever in industry. And I signed up for a course around prompt engineering. It's by a woman, Georgia Lewis Anderson, and she teaches this whole course on how you can, as an entrepreneur, prompt engineer better. And it's a skill I don't have. It's a skill that I, like everybody else, I think we're kind of learning how to do that. Like, how to use these tools in the right way so that you can at least suss out bias, or the agreement factor is just insane. How much AI will just agree with you just to like constantly. So I'm looking forward to it. It's not a long course. I think I'll probably finish within a month. And then try to share it with whomever else in our organization that wants to go for it. And then I think it opens up the aperture for thinking around, all right, how much does that become part of the training and regimen? And then also recruiting, like, how do you test for that? How do you screen for it? You know, but it's fascinating nonetheless. I think we are up on time.
That's cool. Thanks for coming.
Great
That was
episode.
Awesome to hear.
Thanks
about
for having me.
what you did.
Thank you for joining
great.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
I was a little nervous, but
Much better than
you
Jake.
guys make it so much easier. You know?
Just a conversation.
Exactly. Thanks, Amanda.
You're
Cool.
All right.
Till next time.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye.